New at 10, as we near the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, we want to shed light on issues affecting this community. As our Nomi Sanchez reports, more youth in Hispanic households are needing mental help. However, when it comes to resources, bilingual counselors are scarce.
That's right, Jennifer. Language plays a big role when it comes to communication between a parent, a child, and a therapist. But after talking to several East Texas counselors, we found the numbers are just not keeping up, and it's affecting families' ability to get the help they need.
Can you say green? Green. Good.
For Nelida, counseling East Texas youth is a passion. However, being one of the few bilingual therapists in the area means she is often booked.
Which it pains me, right? Because I know that our community needs help.
According to recent studies by the National Alliance for Hispanic Health, the third leading cause of death among Hispanics ages 10 to 14 is suicide. And in 2021, reports showed 1 in 5 Hispanic youth seriously considered attempting suicide.
I can tell you off the bat, like this year, I know 3 or 4 Latino kids that have died from suicide.
Despite this, the most recent data available by the American Psychological Association shows that in 2016, only 5.5% of counselors in the nation were able to provide services in Spanish.
There aren't enough of us to go around for our children.
And when dealing with this community, not only is language important, but cultural awareness also plays a big role in creating a safe space for families.
Because this is a new generation that is learning that it's okay to talk about emotions.
Here in East Texas, steps are being taken.
UT has opened up their social work program. They have an LPC program or a counseling program, so I feel like the resources are coming.
A UT Tyler program aiming to expose students to needs like this one.
So working with our first conference that we just had for supporting bilingual mental health practitioners was really just an attempt to start those partnerships and those conversations.
Conversations that can hopefully lead to more growth in bilingual mental health professionals in the future. Nomi Sanchez, KLTV 7 News.
Now, although limited, if you would like more information on local bilingual mental health resources here in East Texas, Monarca Initiative is a nonprofit that can connect you with those resources. You can scan this QR code right there on the big red box section for more information.